Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Wednesday, December 27th, 2023. I hope you've had a wonderful holiday weekend as we continue on into the weird period of time where you're in between Christmas and New Year's and you're supposed to go to work, but really there's no one around and there's not much really to do because no one wants to start anything new until 2024. So you know that feeling, right? You don't know exactly what to do at that particular time. The thing is, as a meteorologist, there is no such thing as that because even when everyone else is kind of waiting for 2024 to start, you still have weather to monitor. And we have a very interesting time period to really study here. And this is going to be fascinating to watch all of this evolve. And what I'm talking about is the tropical forcing and the stratospheric evolution. And there are so many questions still evolving here. I know a lot of you are focused on one thing and one thing only, very singular. Is it going to snow? For some people, it's a passion of just watching the snowfall. Other people, it's a very important economic factor, especially if you're plowing snow as a business and saying, hey, where is the snow? Because we're going on 4 years here. We dealt with La Nina. Now we're dealing with El Nino. We want the snow. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what is evolving here. And we talked about this yesterday. We went over some of the factors here. And we are studying very carefully what's evolving here with the MJO. Because we already know that the El Nino's in the background, all that good stuff. And we are in a phase one right now, and we're expected to go into phase two. And then the MJO drops off. And various models, as we look at the data, suggest that we'll be going into a phase three and then dropping off to neutral or very weak. Now, here's the question. Because if you just look at the MJO and just say, hey, look, this is heading towards phase three and it's nicking phase four. And, if you look at this model, it's a little bit stronger in phase four, but everything goes into a neutral state. And you just think to yourself, well, tropical forcing, we have a period of time where the tropical forcing is favorable for winter weather on the East Coast, and then it supposedly moves into phase three and phase four. And if that was the only forcing mechanism, then that's pretty much an easy forecast, right? But that isn't the only mechanism. So when we are talking about the MJO, what we're really talking about is this, okay? And this tropical forcing, tropical thunderstorms, latent heat release, and how that release of heat interacts with our jet streams and enhancement and at times amplification, and sometimes the wrong amplification if you're looking for winter weather, because that could lead to a ridge in the southeast or a powerful trough, or perhaps the subtropical jet stream is too strong and the polar jet stream is at a sink, and then sometimes they line up just right. But all of that is driven by what's going on here with this convection. So what you really want to do to really simplify this, when we have a lot of convection here, then you have to be aware and keep your eye on the potential for interaction between the polar and subtropical jet stream. Now we have plenty of short waves marching through on the Pacific and in the Pacific in the polar jet stream. And we know that we have a lot of changes going on in the polar vortex that we're going to be monitoring over the next several days and weeks ahead that will support further amplification of the polar jet stream. Now, the question we have to figure out, and look, it's a mystery, and trust me, the models will be dealing with this mystery as well. This is why I love meteorology, because there is no knowing everything. There's always a mystery. There is always something to try to figure out and try to work out. So when someone says, well, these guys don't know what's going to happen the next day, you know what? Sometimes we don't. That's the beauty of meteorology, is the struggle to figure out chaos. But I digress. what we have here is a very amplified, very interesting pattern. And so one of the questions we have to figure out here, and I'm staying within a 10-day, I know that you're probably seeing on a lot of social media posts about, major stratospheric warming and going into a reversal. Let's keep this simple for now and just look at the next 10 days. And you can see this indication right here. Okay, now when you see this starting to show up in the model, guys, and now we're at the 10-day point here. All right, we're into early January. This is no longer in the 10 to 15 day time period where, yeah, it looks favorable, but it's still 10 to 15 days out. Now we're falling below that, and we're starting to see that support for major stratospheric warming having that impact of a reversal. And here's the key thing here: a wind reversal means that basically you take a bat and you beat the living heck out of this polar vortex and it weakens significantly. And then you get all sorts of high latitude blocking all over the northern hemisphere. And this amplifies the polar jet stream, and it can overwhelm, become the dominant factor in our weather pattern. And then the tropical forcing is present, but it's kind of muted because this thing is like a huge horn, or if you want to say like a huge, like a really loud drum that just overwhelms the entire pattern. And we have been seeing this hint for months now in the climate models. So now this isn't anything where we're saying like, oh, this is a surprise. We've been seeing this hint in the climate model. So now the question comes down to this. We see this clear disruption. That's clear. If we get a disruption and it doesn't have a full wind reversal, then you basically have this high latitude blocking potential and a very active subtropical jet stream. And then you see how the dice roll for, let's say, 2 to 4 weeks. If we get a reversal of the winds and this basically rips this whole polar vortex apart, then you're talking about easily a 4 to 8 week window of constant high latitude blocking, an active subtropical jet stream, and plenty of storms to keep an eye on as we move through. Now, not every storm is going to lead to snow for your backyard, but the potential is there, which is certainly better than what we've been dealing with the past 4 years, where the only potential was maybe in the Great Lakes. And you have a southeast ridge and La Nina, and you'd have to hope and pray that maybe some cold air presses down to support a antifront type snowfall event. This does not look like that is that threat. In fact, in previous winters, we had to wait to see, well, maybe the polar vortex might weaken and stretch a little bit. This is just the complete opposite of that. Now it's just a question of interaction. So while we're waiting to find out those answers, and look, I have my theories. We'll see how those theories work out. So far, so good. So far for this winter, it's worked out pretty well. But again, we have to wait to see how all of this plays out. Okay, because if it was simple a factor of just getting the one solution and one idea of what's going to happen with the polar vortex, and then boom, you get the rest of your forecast right. Forecasting would be simple, because now we go into our next phase, and that's what we'll talk about our observations. Now, right now, we have a northeasterly wind in place around 5 miles per hour, plenty of maritime air moving into the region that supports areas of fog. We've had showers starting to develop as warm air aloft is invading from the Gulf of Mexico right into our neck of the woods. So we have a cool maritime air mass and a warm tropical air mass over that. And that creates an inversion, lots of low clouds, lots of showers and fog, and temperatures basically holding in the lower to mid 40s in your higher elevations, mid 40s to lower 50s everywhere else, with pesky showers here and there. And on the surface map and radar from WeatherTap, we'll show that right here, you can see showers starting to develop. We have waves of low pressure all over the place. This is associated with the upper level low, where you can see cold air aloft. And then you have your Pacific front Here is another front with the maritime polar air mass that's moderating. Here's your tropical air mass and low pressure system associated with that. And then you have just trough separating the maritime air and the tropical air down here. So as you can see, we have a lot of different air masses here interacting. And the one that's impacting us right now is the maritime air and the tropical air. And when we take a look at the 850 millibar temperatures and wind pattern, you can see at 850 millibars, the winds are coming in from the south-southeast, and that is transporting your tropical air basically to the north of the Bahamas, right into our neck of the woods. So again, the surface winds are bringing in the maritime, the mid-level winds are bringing in the tropical, and that just basically means cloudy skies and rain. I know you don't want to hear that, but that is what's happening. Where is all our cold air? All of our polar air is up here, associated with our pattern changes starting to evolve. And this is more of a production of, because you have falling 500 millibar heights with this upper level low, so you get this cold air mass that builds under it and develops under it as the atmosphere cools because of the falling 500 millibar heights. And that leads to this pocket of cold air. And that will start linking up with our true polar air up here as this slowly inches its way towards the east coast. In the meantime, you could see on the infrared satellite picture some impressive divergence. How do we know we have divergence? Well, we have strong lifting here with this jet, and you kind of have this broken up lifting right here. Here is our upper level low right here. So right now, we don't have the strongest lifting over us, but clearly there's some frontogenesis showing up here. When we take a look at the water vapor satellite picture, it comes up even better, where you have this strong jet stream here, your upper level low here, another area of lifting up here, and you see this spreading out. This is a clear sign of divergence and diffluence, which is helping lifting. It also helps to enhance the low pressure system down here to eventually become what we call the primary low pressure system. Right now, the primary low pressure system is back here, where we have your cold air aloft and your warm air surging out ahead of it. So this is typical of a cold core system. Take a look at the upper level winds. There's our subtropical jet stream here, very much enhanced, very strong, typical of your MJO influence here. This is a perfect signal of that. And there is, you see how this is kind of spreading out? This is, again, divergence and diffluence. Think of this as taking taffy and pulling it and stretching it, and you start getting little breaks in it. Well, those little breaks are holes, in, let's say, in the atmosphere. And the atmosphere is always creating a balance. So because of those little holes and that stretching, in order to create a balance, you have air rapidly rising. And so this creates lifting. And that's why we're seeing that right here, this little signal right here. So you have your jet streak, which enhances lifting. You have the divergence and diffluence that's enhancing lifting. And there's our upper level low associated with this, all getting ready to press towards us. So we're starting to see some interaction between this upper level low, the polar jet stream, and the subtropical jet stream. And so as a result, what you end up with is this strong lifting that is lifting up towards us that will be setting in for this evening and the overnight period. So through today, we'll have scattered showers with some occasional moderate downpours. Tonight, we get the heavy downpours. And look what's starting to happen here at the coast. Our 850 millibar low starts to form. Our surface low is already forming. So we're starting to see that transition of the primary low towards the coast. But it takes some time in this process because this is a rather robust 500 millibar low. So while this process is ongoing, we'll get heavy rain going on tonight, and then tomorrow on through really Saturday, we'll continue with this unsettled weather pattern with these short waves dropping through and moving through the region. And while that's happening, the atmosphere will gradually cool. And so, with this, you get your strong precipitable water values here right along the coast. It's going to support a heavy rainfall for tonight. And while that's happening, our colder air at 850 millibars gradually builds in. Now, there is the low in our subtropical jet stream with a nice warm seclusion signal right here, with strong warm air transport trying to approach the coast but doesn't quite make it. And then as that is happening, their cold air slowly builds in until we get to Saturday. We have plenty of cold air aloft. Cold air is not as impressive, 9 to 25 millibars, which is why I'm keeping the rain snow signal in place and wording in place in the forecast. Again, not really looking for a lot in the way of accumulation out of any of these snow showers, but you might see some here and there, make some roads a little slick. So just keep an eye on that as we head into the weekend. While all that is happening, we're going to be keeping an eye on our evolving weather pattern. And you could see the cold air more able to push south. Now, we're not at the point yet in our pattern evolution to sustain that cold air. If we get that wind reversal I was talking about at the upper levels in the stratosphere, where the winds reverse, then you end up with sustained high latitude blocking and a prolonged period of cold air pushing into the mid latitudes. Right now, we're right in the cusp, and unlike all of December, your Arctic air is right on the doorstep here. It just needs a trigger to drop down and stay for a prolonged period, like a really, really annoying cousin. So it's right here on the border, right around early January again. We got that cold air source readily available to interact with our subtropical jet stream. All you need now is a trigger to get you to that next point. And so going back to the 500 millibar forecast here with the PVA, again, you get these little short waves moving through, becoming a little bit of a pest. And then we keep an eye on early January and this time period right here. Now, again, I stress, do not trust any details on the surface evolution of this shortwave. But the one thing that kind of catches my eye is that it's neutral tilt right now in this forecast. I got another shortwave on the way, and I got a very robust polar jet stream with the polar vortex pressing south. You get this interaction of the shortwave just timed up just right, and you end up with a far more interesting forecast. And again, it doesn't take much to create this little shift. You got the 850 millibar low off the coast. There's your polar shortwave right there. Yeah, things can get a little bit more interesting than what's being shown here in the 7 to 10 day time period. So just keep an eye on that. And then right behind that, the thing that's interesting is that if this shortwave here starts to interact and we get a little bit more robust storm here, then that sets up the stage for this shortwave. And this shortwave then is dealing with more blocking. And so you end up with a different forecast for this one as well, moving forward in the 7 to 10 day time period and beyond. So some very interesting factors starting to evolve here and how all these features interact. Well, that is the question. That's the challenge. And so that is what we're going to be monitoring as we move through over the next several days. In the meantime, let's dive into our forecast. So today, we'll be dealing with scattered showers here and there. Temperatures will range from the mid to upper 40s over the northern interior and lower to mid 50s along the coast. For tonight into tomorrow, periods of rain will be heavy at times. There is that influence of that lifting, and there's our primary low pressure system starting to take hold with some very heavy rainfall. Temperatures aren't going to be moving all that much. Look for lows in the lower to mid 40s over the northern interior, upper 40s to lower 50s along the coast. For tomorrow afternoon, showers will continue to linger as our low pressure system slowly pulls away. Temperatures will be very warm for this time of year, looking for high temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 50s along the coast. For Friday, showers linger around. Again, cold air will be bleeding into the period during this time period. So a few snowflakes might mix in as well, especially in your higher elevations. Look for low temperatures to range from the upper 20s to mid 30s over the northern interior and upper 30s to mid 40s along the coast. High temperatures range from the upper 40s to lower 50s throughout the region. While we are look for high temperatures on Friday to range from the upper 30s to mid 40s over the northern interior and upper 40s to lower 50s along the coast. Sorry for the confusion. Now, for Saturday. See, this is getting a little bit more confusing. Cold air continues to bleed in. It's not driving it, it's bleeding in very gradually. Saturday low temperatures with pesky rain and snow showers will range from the mid 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior, and mid 30s to lower 40s along the coast. Again, there's that bleeding in I'm talking about. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior and lower to mid 40s along the coast. On Sunday, New Year's Eve day, look for a scattered cloud cover with low temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. High temperatures range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to mid 40s along the coast. New Year's Eve night, I know you're all going out having some fun. There could be a pesky rain or snow shower hanging around the region, but for the most part, look for scattered cloud cover, a bit chilly. Look for low temperatures to fall in by New Year's Day morning, ranging from the mid 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior and upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. So very chilly conditions. You're going to definitely need your coat if you're hanging out at Times Square. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. On Tuesday, first Tuesday of 2024, will feature scattered cloud cover and low temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 20s and high temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. And on Wednesday, scattered cloud cover, tranquil conditions are expected with low temperatures in the mid to upper 20s and high temperatures in the lower to mid 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s along the coast. And then there is our storm that we were talking about that we're going to have to monitor for the end of next week. That could be rather interesting for the region. Again, the timing is key here. Here is our low in the subtropical jet stream. There is our low in the polar jet stream. Do these interact? Do they stay separate? We're going to have to wait to find out to see how the timing is. And of course, in this scenario, we don't even have the proper sampling yet of these short waves to come in to really help us forecast the timing of these short waves. So there's a lot of questions here, but also a lot of potential. That is your forecast discussion for today. Have a wonderful day. And as always, stay safe out there.